चाओ चाओ दोस्तों, कैसे हो आप लोग? मिसिंग इन एक्शन मैन हमारे साथ वापस जुड़ चुके हैं। परम इज बैक। परम, एक हफ्ते पहले, ऑलमोस्ट एक हफ्ते पहले बोल सकते हैं यार, तू कहाँ था एंड व्हाट डिड यू गो थ्रू? बिकॉज इट वाज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट आई वुड से पेनफुल नाइट्स फॉर इंटरिस्टी एंड इटालियन फुटबॉल एट लार्ज. Welcome, firstly, welcome back. You tell the audience where you have been and what were your, emotions from that night.
यार एक तो ग्लैड टू बी बैक ऑन द शो एज ऑलवेज। बहुत टाइम हो गया, मतलब या इट्स बीन अ लॉन्ग टाइम। इवन आई कैन रिकलेक्ट कितने देर पहले लास्ट एपिसोड में मैं था, बट या आई मीन फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल obviously glad to be with you and back on the show. Glad that so many people have subscribed to our channel. We are very close to 2k, so please do like, share and subscribe to Calcio Charcha and to Ajay bhai's channel as well. So get into things are एकदम से अजय भाई, I mean Champions League final, obviously I was away for work. मैं जैसे आप जानते हो, आप लोग ने स्क्रीनिंग की थी, which thankfully went very well in terms of the response, not in terms of the result maybe, but yeah, that was good to see. But yeah, obviously I was away at work, not in the city. Or luckily though, I had time to watch the game, even if my work usually lasts till late in the night and whatnot. I did not have any work simultaneously at that moment, so मैं काम छोड़ के आराम से मैच देख तो पा ही रहा था. बट ऑब्वियसली मैच आराम से देखने के चक्कर में ऐसा लगा नहीं था इस टाइप का रिजल्ट आएगा. ऑब्वियसली वी आर लुकिंग एट द फाइनल आउटकम बीइंग PSG 5 इंटरनल. और ऑब्वियसली ये सबसे बड़ी मार्जिन का विन है एक चैंपियंस लीग फाइनल में. ये टाइप के रिकॉर्ड ऑब्वियसली आप बनाना नहीं चाहते हो, स्पेशली व्हेन योर क्लब इज इन्वॉल्व. एंड इट वाज, क्या ही बोल सकता हूँ, आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ अस कैन अग्री कि बहुत गंदा डिस्प्ले था इंटर से. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल I have to give full credit to PSG and Luis Enrique. बहुत fantastic display था. You could see कि minute one से they wanted it more. It was very clear. The balanced play, the way they were circulating the ball, the way Usman Dembele was pressing. It goes back to that video where Luis Enrique was shouting at Mbappe कि you have to work hard off the ball,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
makes sense. Like an injury prone player like Usman Dembele, जिसने अपना पूरा ये सीजन टर्न अराउंड किया, फिट रहा है, बैलन डॉर शाउट्स राइटली सो, is pressing from the moment, leading the charge. और आपने देखा how he had disturbed Sommer's distribution. अगर आपने देखा, Sommer पूरा हिल गया था, वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर ही नहीं पा रहा था बराबर. बट कमिंग टू द टैक्टिक्स लेटर यार, I have to give them their flowers. I have a few friends who are PSG fans. Obviously, उस दिन चैंपियंस की चर्चा पे सुशांत from our end had gone, and the PSG fan on the show was a friend of mine as well. So he obviously must be overjoyed. So you have to give PSG full credit. Kudos to Luis Enrique. I like the tribute given to him by PSG Ultras, especially for his daughter. Very great, great touch. But as good as PSG were, यार इंटर डिड नॉट शॉप. मतलब इंटर पार्क पे थी, इंटर मेंटली चेकड आउट थी, सब थी. मतलब मैंने देख, लाइक द थिंग इज, जो मैंने बारसा और बायर्न के अगेंस्ट देखा, वो उसका पूरा ऑपोजिट था. उसका पूरा, आई थॉट दिस वाज द सेरिया वर्जन ऑफ इंटर, बट समथिंग वर्स देन दैट आल्सो. लाइक
Yeah.
I remember there was this one game this season, एकदम अर्ली फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ द सीजन में, जब हम मोन्जा से अवे ड्रॉ किए थे 1-1. इट वाज अ
Yeah.
वेरी वियर्ड गेम जिसमें हमने एनर्जी नहीं डाली थी, बहुत स्ट्रगल किया था. एंड वो गेम की मुझे याद आ गई है देख के. ये तो उससे भी बदतर था. दिस हैज टू बी द वर्स्ट गेम ऑफ द सीजन. सो बरेला भी बोला, लाइक आफ्टर द गेम वी वर नॉट इन इट मेंटली. एंड आई एम लाइक, तुम लोग, हाउ कैन यू नॉट बी इन इट मेंटली? ठीक है, आई अंडरस्टैंड, एग्जॉशन कम्स हेड्स इन, फिजिकल फटीग भी होता है, मेंटल फटीग भी होता है एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ द सीजन. बट भाई, there is one game left. You have to pull through and find that energy from somewhere. And funnily enough, Barella only said this in the course of the Champions League, we will try to find that energy even if we don't have it. So where was that in the Champions League final? Like,
In fact,
this is
in fact,
a
Param, that moment na
yeah,
is far larger than what people think. तो देख, इंटर का सेट पीस था. इंटर are so good at set pieces. It's
yeah,
cleared away. Barella, is trying to,
hmm,
shield the ball, and putting his body ahead of the ball, trying to ensure that Inter get a corner, and
hmm,
Pacho comes and wins that 50-50. Okay, PSG ने
hmm,
सारे 50-50 जीते, बट वो जो था, वहां से
hmm,
काउंटर जाके सेकंड गोल गया पीएसजी का.
hmm.
वहां से
Exactly.
इंटर, फ्रॉम अ पोजीशन ऑफ एडवांटेज फॉर इंटर, वहां से पीएसजी ने काउंटर करके गोल मारा. सो लाइक यू मेंशनड, आई थिंक यू आर राइट कि दे वर मोर हंग्रियर, बट इट जस्ट
Hmm,
शोड दैट इंटर were mentally checked out, they were physically checked out, and otherwise, Barella, जिसको अपन बोलते हैं कि he runs on that Duracell, battery. He's like that bunny, Duracell bunny, जो भागते रहता
yeah,
है.
yeah.
He looked completely in a shell. I mean, मैंने तो ट्वीट भी किया था, ये तो लग रहा था कि हेलास वेरोना खेल रही है और इवान
हाँ.
यूरिच कोच है उसका. तो मुझे तो ऐसे ही लग रहा था. And it could be a bias obviously, but then yeah man, I mean, it was shocking, absolutely shocking.
Yeah, I hope what I pulled up was visible, just the
Yeah,
sight
it
of
was. It
graphic. Yeah,
was.
but नहीं, आपने बराबर बोला, checked out is the right word. Like देखो, मैं PSG से I don't want to take anything away. They were superb और उन्होंने अपनी opportunity देखी भाई. ये इंटर टीम काउंटर पे मार खा रही है, let's destroy them on the counter. And their look, मैंने बोला था in the preview कि they are known for not being somewhat clinical this season, but उल्टा हो गया. मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, one team came in with an intent to prove a point कि हाँ भाई, हम वो mistakes repeat नहीं कर सकते. दूसरी टीम को पता था कि वही एटीट्यूड चाहिए, बट वो लोग जस्ट कुड नॉट कीप अप. एंड आई नो, ठीक है, वी आर नॉट द फास्टेस्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ फॉलिंग बैक इन डिफेंस, वी डोंट हैव द फास्टेस्ट ऑफ प्लेयर्स, बट एक तरीका होता है डिफेंड करने का. तो फर्स्ट गोल भी जो खाया, अगर आपने देखा, हकीमी आराम से जस्ट आके टैप इन कर लेता है. ही ऑब्वियसली डिड नॉट सेलिब्रेट बिकॉज ही हैज दैट, he left Inter on good terms and he doesn't have anything
Yeah.
bad to say, and he keeps saying positive things, so he never celebrated. But even the second goal, the third goal, second goal तो डिफ्लेक्शन था फिर भी. और इस गेम में सरप्राइजिंगली, आई मीन, मैं सोमर को ब्लेम नहीं कर सकता. देयर इज ओनली सो मच ही कैन सेव, मतलब
Yeah,
थ्रू
yeah.
आउट द जर्नी हैज सेव्ड अस टू मच. और ये रियली डिफेंडर्स पे अच्छे. एंड ऑनेस्टली ना, जब ऐसे गेम्स होते हैं, ऐसे व्हेनेवर यू लूज ना, यू कैन ऑलवेज मे बी पॉइंट आउट एट वन प्लेयर, यार इसने अच्छा तो एक रिस्पेक्टेबल परफॉर्मेंस डाला, उसने डाला अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस, बट इस गेम में कोई नहीं था वैसा. द वर्स्ट वाज, एज अनफॉर्चुनेटली एज बिकम द केस, वाज डीमार्को. लाइक जैसे बोला, पहले दो गोल्स में एब्सोल्युटली स्किन्ड, लाइक डिस्ट्रॉयड. एंड you have to question yourself कि भाई इसका दिमाग, you could see him shaking his head when he was subbed as well. वो sight of that, and that summed up the whole Inter. And you're looking at DiMarco. I'm not saying DiMarco is like a world class player. I do think he's a very good player, but sorry, the problem is, जब आप एक इंटर का सिंबल हो, DiMarco, right? This guy, he has grown up as an Interista, used to sit with the ultras, watch the games. This is not the type of performance you
Yeah.
bring in. You might be you might be outplayed against someone like a Dembele or whoever is up against you at that point, but you have to put your heart out there. और वो heart, ये सब क्लीशे साउंड कर रहा होगा, but I did not see any heart from any Inter player on the right. Not even Bastoni, no one, absolutely no one. Like I can't look at any one player. मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ,
I
and
think
say कि यार
maybe Dumfries, परम सब एक Dumfries है जो जरा सा हल्का सा.
हाँ, I feel more than hard. I just felt bad for Denzel Dumfries because post game उसके में अगर comments pull up करो, I'm just going through it as we speak as well, just pulling up all that. He was the one who was most shocked because ये Champions League run में Denzel Dumfries has been the star man, right, among a few. And उसके लिए मुझे सबसे ज्यादा बुरा लगा because I was like, this is the player we are the ones who have criticized him the most easily. But now he is here, he's got us to his journey, and maybe he is that one player whom you can look at and say, yeah, he's allowed to have one bad game. And it was not like he had a bad game. It's that because nobody else was doing shit, he also couldn't do shit, right? Like एक player तो कुछ. And again, I think probably say the same for Bastoni because Bastoni has also dragged us this season. So, and even Sommer, these three players I can excuse, but बाकियों को देख के मतलब Barella was flat and it's not been the greatest season for him also. हाकान का भी एक बात करने की चीज हो गई कि भाई ये बड़े गेम्स में, ऐसे बड़े गेम्स में where is he going? Like even the previous Champions League final we were in, obviously 3 years ago, उसमें भी not there. And I'm not saying, I don't want to compare him with Brozovic right away, but यार एक Brozovic की एक जो mentality थी थोड़ी ice cold, वो थोड़ी हाकान से missing है. But again, I'm not complaining or वैसा, it's just that you expect a Hakan Çalhanoğlu to be there. Mkhitaryan, not there again. I think his time eventually is done as well. He can't be a starter. And Simone Inzaghi पे आता हूँ यार, like उसका तो अलग topic है as in when you bring him up. But
that was going to be my next question, Param. Do you think that Simone Inzaghi had made up his mind already, and do you think that transmitted onto the players? Because अब तो हम लोग 10 दिन हो गया ये चीज को, तो अभी तो speculation भी सब हो गया. He has been announced, उसका Pipo Inzaghi का announcement वो डाल दिया है, ये सब कर दिया, सब हो गया. तो देखो क्या लगता है कि players को पता था कि वो जाने वाला है, and did that play any role?
This is a good question because मैं ये pull up करने का try कर रहा हूँ. Hope this loads. But Marotta कल एक इंटरव्यू में बोला, he said कि Simone Inzaghi का decision जैसे न्यूज में बिल्डअप हो रहा था कि सिमोने इंजागी विल मेक अ डिसीजन आफ्टर द चैंपियंस लीग फाइनल, राइट? सो मरोटा रीइटरेटेड सेइंग कि उसका डिसीजन हमें चैंपियंस लीग फाइनल के बाद ही आया, मीटिंग थी और बाय ट्यूसडे ही हैड मेड अप हिज माइंड कि मैं जा रहा हूं. सो इज दैट रियली ट्रू दो? बिकॉज अगर आप लॉजिकली सोचो, इतने इतना जल्दी डिसीजन लेना कि हाँ मैं क्लब बदलना चाहता हूँ एंड टू गो टू सी लुक, आई नो इट्स अ लॉट ऑफ मनी इन्वॉल्व, 50 million on the table over 2 seasons, so you can maybe make up your mind quickly, but I feel there was something to it. Now that I think about it calmly over the last few days, I've thought about it. मेरे को लगता है I'm pretty sure he had made some sort of decision, because अगर आप उसकी वाइफ का भी पोस्ट देखो, she's like, I really tried to convince him to stay, but at times certain cycles end, and we feel this is the right time to move on. This is what his wife said, and his son was in the academy as well, like in the one of the young एकदम youth level पे. So ये सब डिसीजंस ना, ये सब लाइफ डिसीजंस आसान नहीं होते, एकदम से नहीं आप लेते हो ये आप पूरी फैमिली के साथ लेते हो. ये उसमें उसका डैड फैक्टर इन होता है, उसके वाइफ फैक्टर इन होता है, उसके बेटे हु आर एसोसिएटेड विद इंटर नाउ. सो आई फील दिस हैपेंड ओवर द कोर्स. हाउ लॉन्ग Al Hilal sorry have made approaches for him in the past where he's rejected them, but I feel this is more of like a few weeks ago to months ago का thing. But अगर see, because also again sorry, let me make it clear to you, he had openly confirmed before the final कि मेरे को job offers आए सऊदी से, इटली से, abroad से. He just denied कि I'm in negotiations, which I struggle to believe at this point now. Now, did it impact the game? I feel thoda definitely. Like, why will it not, right? Because there's so much talk going on. Ajay bhai, Alilal sources ने spam कर दिया था. And if you know any, again, if I were to tell you something about Saudi Arabian football, Alilal dominates the media, the football front. They are the richest club. They're the most favored club by PIF. तो अगर ये उनका कोई फैन देख रहा है, गुस्सा हो जाएगा सुन के, but that's the reality. And when all media is raining down on you, when their president flew down to Milan all the way just to meet Simone Inzaghi before the final, it tells you something, right? ऐसा नहीं कि कुछ तो conversation नहीं हुआ होगा.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think, and look, ठीक है, it is what is it, it's a distraction, but I feel I expected a bit better from Simone Inzaghi कि भाई एक ही गेम बचा है, वैसे ट्रीट करो, एक फाइनल बचा है, you can end on a high and then go if you want anyways, right? आप जाना है तो जाओ, I have no issues with that. But literally one final, you've already lost one 3 years ago. You have a chance to rewrite history. You have a chance to win a Champions League with an Italian club after 15 years. Inter being the last club itself. So आपने वो सब kind of throw away किया in case you were distracted. Even the players, maybe they were distracted by it too. Maybe कुछ internal talk हुआ होगा which we will never know of कि हाँ भाई हो गए distract वो लोग. And you could see, मेरे को लगता है it did play some. So I'm not going to blame the entire defeat on that. Okay, I'm not going to blame the entire defeat because I feel that's wrong. थोड़ा percentage yes. And just one thing I want to bring up before you take over, Ajay, because I saw this point. Does Simone Inzaghi look like a bit of a coward in the way he's leaving? I saw this sort of question going around on social media and I thought I'll bring it up. देखो, I love Simone Inzaghi और मैं पूरा grateful हूँ in terms of what he's done. I can't fault him. Like, उसका वो famous quote याद है first season में, wherever I go, I have the losses and I win trophies. I work with minimal resources. At the time he had said this, there was an sort of anger from Interista'S, but it's the truth. Lazio में आप जानते हो कितने कम बजट पे का. Ajay, compare what he had at Lazio to what Sarri and Baroni got in terms of overall squad. Nothing.
Yeah.
There is no comparison. Simone had to build up Milinkovic, Savic, and Immobile right from the ground. So my point is, I am not really angry at Simone Inzaghi. I can't really fault him for anything. उसने जो किया इस क्लब में एक winning mentality. आप देखते हो आप the way Inter play. We have had legends from the past, who have played for Inter and come out and say, this is some of the best Inter we have seen, having played for the club, So Simone Inzaghi has done great things, but I do feel थोड़ा ये end में tarnish हो जाता है because of the way he's leaving. He lost on all fronts. You could not win a single trophy, and I'm not blaming him for it, but you've just decided कि हाँ चलो मैं जा रहा हूँ छोड़ के. And I'm not saying, again, we'll come to the point whether he's right to leave or not, but it does not look good and I would have said the same had he gone to the Premier League or anything. This is nothing against him going for the Saudi money. मैं आपको जानते हो, मैं बार-बार बोल चुका हूँ. I have nothing against anybody going to Saudi Arabia getting the bag. I have no problems with it. Or even coaching like an Al Hilal. So I just feel I kind of agree with that sentiment कि थोड़ा कावड़ की तरह दिखता है. As much as I'm grateful to him, don't get me wrong, I just feel he feels like कि हाँ यार मैं और कर नहीं सकता, मेरा साइकिल हो गया, चलो निकल लेते हैं, 2 साल पैसा बना लेता हूँ एंड देन वापस आ जाता हूँ. सो आई फील आई एक्सपेक्टेड हिम टू हैंडल द सिचुएशन बेटर बेसिकली, पॉइंट बीइंग, because it really affected us and it will affect us now going forward, which we'll get into. So yeah, sorry for the lengthy lengthy kind of rant, but thoda disappointed in Simone Inzaghi as well.
No, fair enough, fair enough. And now, throw some light, Param, to all our viewers and in जो भी चैट में है, कि अभी ऐसे पोजीशन में बेपे मरोटा आ गया कि मैनेजर छोड़ के गया है, एंड सडनली यू नीड टू अपॉइंट अ मैनेजर आउट ऑफ, आई वुड से एक रश में, then the names that were linked were Cristian Chivu, Patrick Vieira, and what all names तेरे expressions से वही लग रहा है कि इतने सारे नाम आए, and eventually it was Cristian Chivu who is now appointed as
मैं
uh,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I'll say
हाँ
something once you complete.
तो मेरा सवाल वही था कि क्या मतलब what is now the strategy and vision going ahead with regards to Inter from the management perspective, and of course as a fan, what are your feelings?
एक तो भाई जब ना चैंपियंस लीग फाइनल में मैंने जय शाह को देखा ना, उधर वो उधर भी पहुंच गया था नेक्स्ट टू. मुझे लगा भाई ही माइट एज वेल बाय इंटर एंड ही माइट एज वेल बिकम द कोच द नेम्स वी आर लिंक्ड विद. मतलब अगर मैं देख रहा हूँ पैट्रिक वियरा, क्रिस्टियन कीवो, एक काम करो भाई जय शाह को आप ओनर और कोच बना दो, मतलब कुछ बचा है और इस पाजा इंटर फैक्टर में. बट नहीं, देखो, एज आई होप दिस इज विजिबल, एज यू सी Marotta is saying here, in football, everything happens at extreme speed and unpredictability reigns supreme. So last Tuesday, our coach told us his cycle at Inter is over and the final had led us not to touch on this topic. Inzaghi only made his decision on Monday, which again I told you, मैं believe नहीं करता personally. And then he says the media talks about confusion. We accepted Inzaghi's decision. Sorry, ये गलत वाला pull up हो गया. He's talking about Kivu, which I will just come to. I don't know why this opened, but yeah, I mean, किस बात का confusion अजय भाई? Let me be very honest. See, yeah, this is what he's saying. We accepted Inzaghi's decision, which found us partially unprepared, and then we moved. The first thing when you change coach is to identify a profile. See, I don't buy this because अजय भाई, I know from reports कि पहले बेप्पे का चॉइस था मैक्स अलेग्री, safest bet, right? Now Allegri, मैं बार बार बोलता हूँ इस पॉडकास्ट पे, I'm not a fan of him anymore. I feel he has regressed. But as a fallback option for a 3-5-2 from the man management side of things, I can understand. I can somewhat comprehend it, right? And अगर आपको Allegri चाहिए था जब, and this I'm coming from Beppe Marotta's perspective, not my perspective, right? If Beppe Marotta wanted Allegri, then you should have done everything in your power behind the scenes to block him, and then
Yeah,
told Inzaghi, तेरे को जो करना है कर. We
correct.
hesitated in doing that. We hesitated. And we remember Allegri किसका first choice था in case Conte left? Napoli का obviously. फिर
Yeah,
Conte
yeah,
decided,
yeah.
चलो मैं ये exactly Conte decided मैं रहता हूँ. बैकग्राउंड में दोनों मिलान क्लब्स रुके. एसी मिलान ने बोला चलो कोई मूव नहीं कर रहा. हम एसी मिलान डिड व्हाट आई एक्सपेक्टेड इंटर बेसिकली टू डू, राइट? मेरा मेरा वही पॉइंट है. एसी मिलान ने देखा कि भाई हम लोग नापोली के लिए रुक नहीं रहे. इवन व्हेन एसी मिलान स्टार्टेड मूविंग फॉर Allegri, लेट मी रिमाइंड यू अजय भाई, नापोली का कॉन्टे कन्फर्मेशन हुआ नहीं था तब तक,
नहीं
राइट?
हुआ था, नहीं हुआ था.
नहीं हुआ था. एंड एसी मिलान इज लाइक फक इट, हु गिव्स अ शिट अबाउट व्हाट नापोली आर डूइंग, लेट अस गो अहेड एंड फाइनलाइज Allegri. एंड वो लोग ने
Yeah,
किया. देन नापोली आल्सो आर लाइक या नाउ वी हैव टू होल्ड ऑन टू कॉन्टे. देन दे हेल्ड ऑन टू कॉन्टे, यूए सफर्ड, एंड नाउ इंटर इज आल्सो सफरिंग कि भाई बेप्पे का फर्स्ट चॉइस नहीं आ रहा है. एंड दिस इज माय प्रॉब्लम. आई डोंट बिलीव दिस फ्रॉम मरोटा कि देरे वी वर फाउंड अनप्रिपेयर्ड एकदम लास्ट मिनट ना. you were arrogant, you were foolish, and that is why you were unprepared. And ये मैं बार बार बोलता हूँ ना अजय भाई कि इंटर का एक arrogance है. We are the standard in Italy, which is fair, but then act like it. You did not act like it. I love Marotta. I will always defend our management. I feel Marotta is still very important to this project. We are at the top because of him, largely speaking, I feel, along with our coach and other factors, but this was a fumble by him. I'm sorry, like
yeah.
this is my opinion. And उसके बाद आप किस पे जाते हो? ओक्ट्री. ठीक है, एक तो ये ओक्ट्री का विजन मेरे को अभी थोड़ा गुस्सा आने लगा है भाई. लाइक ठीक है, दे आर गिविंग अस एन अंडर 23 टीम, they're looking at the finances well, everything, but this youth thing is getting too much now, I feel. And I feel वो थोड़ा रेड बर्ड टाइप ना हो जाए हम लोग, जैसे आपको पता है रेड बर्ड के साथ. लाइक ठीक है, लाइक मरोटा अपॉइंट किया प्रेसिडेंट, बट हाउ आर, like why are your next three options Cesc Fabregas, Patrick Vieira, and Cristian Chivu? Like, look, Cesc Fabregas, I think we've all discussed, is on the right path, but he's not ready to take over an Inter. It's not like he's going to, we know that. But we tried and tried for Cesc Fabregas, Ajay, and Como is the richest club
Yeah,
in Italy.
Yeah, yeah,
Why are they
yeah, yeah.
going to let him go? अभी उस अब देखो कोमो के लिंक्स आ रहे हैं मार्टिन बटुरीना जैसे टैलेंट के साथ. दे आर स्पेंडिंग 30 मिलियन पर प्लेयर. व्हाई इवन सेस्क फैब्रिगस विल थिंक कि भाई मैं कोमो छोड़ू क्यों. एंड मैंने
वही.
आपको कल मैं कॉल पे बोला था ये अगेन सॉरी फॉर द रैंट. बट व्हाई आर यू सेइंग टू कोमो कि चलो हम आपका परमिशन लेते. लाइक व्हाट इज Al Hilal did not come to you asking for permission. Their president flew
Yes.
down straight to Milan and held talks with Simone Inzaghi. Why are you going to other clubs and seeking permission? I know there is a level of respect you want to maintain, with relations you want to maintain. But वो मिरवान सुअर्सो जो है प्रेसिडेंट कोमो का बोल रहा है इंटर सीक परमिशन फ्रॉम अस एंड वी जस्ट सेड नो टू देम सो इट्स डन. फैब्रिगस इज नॉट लिविंग. और मैं सोच रहा हूँ भाई ये परमिशन पे अटक के रह गए. इज दिस अ स्कूल? इज दिस किंडरगार्टन? लाइक व्हाट आर यू गाइस डूइंग? लाइक व्हाई आर यू सीकिंग परमिशन? लाइक डिड रोमा सीक परमिशन फ्रॉम अटलांटा? नहीं नहीं. रोमा मूव्ड
Yeah.
अग्रेसिवली अजय भाई ऑन Gasperini. Roma moved aggressively on Gasperini even when Juventus was trying to butt in and trying to hijack the move. Roma were like,
Yeah.
नहीं भाई हम लोग कुछ. I'm bringing this up because you've got a top coach. You are in this video, Ajay bhai. And I'm like, ये क्या permission क्या होता है? Like, what is this bullshit? At times you have to tarnish these relations. और I'm not saying Fabregas was the perfect solution, but I think it would have made the most sense. Then you're stuck with Patrick Vieira and Cristian Chivu. Patrick Vieira का release clause जुलाई में activate होता है. Until then you have to directly negotiate with Genoa. Genoa बोला we want to keep him. He was also keen on staying. That got ruled out. It's not like he was not considering Inter, but he did not want to disrespect Genoa. वो बोला मैं disrespect नहीं करूंगा क्योंकि ये लोग ने मेरे में faith दिखाया, मैंने अच्छा किया, right अजय भाई? चलो पैट्रिक वियरा is out of the picture. Now what are you left with? Cristian
Yeah.
Chivu. And Cristian Chivu is going to be your next coach. कंफर्म हो गया 2 ईयर का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होने वाला है. He's going to mostly be announced Saturday in USA when we are next Saturday in USA when we are for there for the Club World Cup because
Club World
उसका
Cup.
भी
हाँ.
हाँ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट टर्मिनेशन वनडे को होगा पार्मा के साथ. बट लुक आई कांट ब्लेम क्रिस्टियन कीवू. क्रिस्टियन कीवू की कोई गलती नहीं है इसमें. He's if he flops, he's going to be made the scapegoat. We already know this, right? And Ajay bhai, Christian Kivu, let me spell this out for you. On senior level, he has coached 13 games, 1-3, not 3-0. Even that's less, but 1-3, 13 games. 13. How can you go from Simone Inzaghi to Christian Kivu? ये मैं आपको भी पूछ रहा हूँ. Like, what do you think on it? मैं ही बकते जा रहा हूँ, but you also give me a 13 games, Ajay bhai.
This is what I wanted, Param. I wanted you to जितना भी तेरे अंदर जो frustration build up हुआ है, तू खोल के
But
express कर. But
you also let me
it is
know your
strange.
opinion because this is crazy. This
It is
is insane.
extremely strange.
Yeah.
Extremely strange, Param, because Beppe Marotta, who's known for super planning, he's known as, I would say, the godfather for free transfers and those deals. Has got a vision always, and you see how Juve, in his time, forget Juve, even when he was at a lower level at Sampdoria,
Yeah.
you saw that
Yeah.
Beppe Marotta always had that vision about him. Juve mein to he did wonders. Then came to Inter, continued his good work. I still can't believe that what I feel as an outsider, मेरे को लग रहा है कि Pepe Marotta never thought Simone Inzaghi will leave.
Yes.
So he
Yeah.
was,
They were.
with that एक
Hmm.
मतलब एक arrogance नहीं, but उसको ये था कि एक blind faith था कि ये छोड़ेगा नहीं. And I think
Hmm.
that is what shook the entire foundation. And
Yeah.
I think which is why, because I still do not believe it was Internazionale who stepped out on the pitch in Munich. I simply deny it. Because we see Inter week in week out,
Yeah.
and they were a shadow of themselves. It looked like they were some different variations, or like एक different timeline का Inter था. So मेरे को
Hmm.
वही लग रहा है कि maybe I think Marotta was taken aback, and now everything is like panic stations mein. And
Yeah.
Kivu, with all due respect, obviously, he's an ex-Roma player as well. I know he
Hmm.
didn't have a very good stint as the youth coach of Inter. It's baffling. मतलब मेरे को तो एकदम I am surprised. But अभी अभी वो कुछ नहीं कर सकते. क्लब वर्ल्ड कप है, कुछ ही दिनों में क्लब वर्ल्ड कप है. तो
Hmm.
आपको और कोई मौका ही नहीं है, कुछ चांस ही नहीं है टू काइंड ऑफ
Yeah.
think and plan ahead and appoint a new manager. And
And
like you mentioned, Allegri probably would have been a good stopgap, but you
safest
never
bet.
know.
Exactly. And ऐसा हो गया था ना कि fans were like भाई कीवू अपॉइंट होने से पहले they were like I know it's not been official but जब heat up हो गए होने से पहले न्यूज लोग बोल रहे थे भाई might as well get a washed Mourinho back. कुछ, क्योंकि एटलीस्ट इवन इफ दिस इज नॉट हिज इंटर, जैसे वो पब्लिकली बोल चुका है, एटलीस्ट उसको कुछ फेमिलियरिटी है क्लब से. बट I mean, I was not on that train really, but I can understand where these fans are coming from. कि भाई Mourinho might be what?
Param, a new manager might be available soon. Luciano Spalletti.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, anyway, उसको दूर ही रखो, उसका एरोगेंस नहीं चाहिए मेरे को. वो तो एक अलग ही वीडियो है कि इटली को भी नई कोच की जरूरत पड़े. बट अच्छा भाई, सी आई टेल यू, मेरा प्रॉब्लम क्या है. आई हैव नो इश्यूज विद कीवू राइट नाउ बिकॉज़ ये उसकी गलती नहीं है, मैंने जैसे बोला. बट मैं उसके, अगर जस्ट टू ब्रेक इट डाउन फॉर द पीपल हु डोंट नो व्हाट कीवू इज लाइक, राइट, वो यूथ लेवल्स पे कोच कर चुका है इंटर का पूरा, अंडर 14, अंडर 15, अंडर 16, अंडर 17 एंड द प्रीमावेरा अंडर 19 मेन. वो टाइटल जीत चुका है. आई फील ही इज डन अ सॉलिड जॉब एंड एक्चुअली अ गुड जॉब. चेजारे कासाडे याद है जब आपको हाइप हुआ था एकदम टॉप टैलेंट, ही was responsible for Cesare Casade's launch as a talent. Because of him, we could sell Cesare Casade for 15 million. He made Casade into a beast, but he is just simply not coached at the senior level. I know at one point he was considered for the Ajax job and whatnot, but 13 games is not enough. अभी उसने जो पार्मा के साथ किया, अजय भाई, if you remember, towards the second half of last season, he got some big results against big teams. He held Napoli. उसने इंटर के लिए दरवाजा खोला था. इंटर फंबल्ड, वो अलग एक स्टोरी है. पर he tries, he has an idea to way up play a certain way, but it's simply that उसकी journey ही नहीं as a senior level coach. वो journey, learning how to manage big egos, he's never done that. He's never managed big egos. याद है जब मैंने पार्मा के बारे में क्या बोला था, they don't have any big leaders, they're mainly young players, so he could coach them and he's good at coaching young players. One positive of this move, he's seen Inter's academy through and through, so he's suitable for that transition to get in young players into the team if needed during an injury crisis, या फिर कोई नया gem ढूंढना है, which Simone Inzaghi was not good at. Like we know that, Ajay, right? That's mainly the only positive. But that's the only positive, and the other positive being he's an Interista through and through. That's it. He was a great defender. He was a top player for us. He's an Interista. He loves Inter. I know that. बट इसके अलावा मैं क्या पॉजिटिव्स देखो, ये दो छोड़ के, यूथ प्लस इंटरिस्टा डीएनए, ये इसके अलावा ठीक है, टैक्टिकली ही यूज्ड टू प्ले 4-3-3 at the primavera level, 4-2-3-1 of sorts, then at towards the later stages of his career he changed to a 3 at the back. So flexible है, continuity आएगी. But again, can he manage the big egos? He's not never coached. Can he manage a Lautaro Martinez, who's the captain of Inter? What will the other players look at him and think कि भाई सिमोने इंजागी से हम लोग इधर आए हैं, yes he's a treble winner, yes he's an Inter legend, so maybe थोड़ा रिस्पेक्ट फैक्टर रहेगा, बट वो दो फैक्टर्स जो है ना जब कि treble winner, Inter legend, he will really have to channel that into his man management. Otherwise I don't see how he will command respect of someone like a Lautaro Martinez who's been here for so long. He's the captain of Inter. ये डिफिकल्ट डायनामिक्स है अजय भाई, एंड सडनली हिज जॉब इज आल्सो वेरी डिफिकल्ट. लेट मी रिमाइंड यू, क्लब वर्ल्ड कप में जब प्रेजेंट होगा अजय भाई, he's not going to have all the players available with him. They're going to be on some sort of an extended break because they're playing international football right now. He's going to have a half depleted team. He's now nobody knows him. He has to familiarize himself with everyone. The backroom staff has changed. Simone Inzaghi ka most of his staff has gone with him to Al Hilal. Bas 2-3 log have stayed back. Spinelli, the goalkeeping coach, and the other guy, I keep forgetting his name, who does the pre-match preparation and stuff. So though people have stayed back, he has to get his own stuff which is in the works. So it's quite a weird situation, and if he doesn't do well, scapegoat बनाना आसान है इस बंदे को. I can't blame him. Look, I will support him अजय भाई. मेरे को क्या है, मेरे को करना पड़ेगा. Because he's been put in a tough situation, and I really hope he can channel something which I have not seen before, like from management side perspective. I really hope he can pull something off, but this is difficult. Again, Ajay bhai, this I told you on call the other day. जब इंटर की अंडर 23 टीम बनने वाली है, राइट, इस सीजन, जो इंटर, उसका जो भी नाम होगा, इंटर बी बोलो या जो भी है, ideally he should have been considered for the job given that he's been there at all levels, right? He was not even considered for the Inter 23 job. And suddenly you're telling me he's the Inter head coach of the senior team. Like, try to put, like, you're getting try to put 2 and 2 together. That's my problem. This planning from Inter has been a mess. Nobody can convince me otherwise. We can agree to disagree if somebody disagrees with me, but Marotta has fumbled, has got this wrong. I'm not saying it's all ekdam everything, it's the end of the world for Inter. ऐसा नहीं मैं बोलना चाहता, but you have to call out a mistake where this is a mistake. अजय भाई, मैंने आपको क्या बोला कल, टॉप 10 में, with all due respect, where coaches stand at present day, Inter have, you can say, a lesser coach than Torino at this point. Marco Baroni at Torino. Inter has a lesser coach than, with all due respect, even Fiorentina probably, if they get Pioli, let's say if they get Pioli, or unless he becomes the Italy coach, whatever. You get my point, right? So Inter has just suddenly taken 10 steps back, not 2 steps back, 10. Like,
Yeah,
I'm shocked. I am like, look, I will support him. I can't be mad at him, but I don't know what to expect going into the season. मेरा मैंने already दिमाग में बना लिया कि expectations कम रखने हैं. No Champions League final yet again anytime soon. No, I don't know Scudetto race भी होगा कि नहीं, कि top 4 expectations रख रहा हूँ मैं अभी के लिए. Coppa Italia, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to say about the Super Coppa either. Like क्या, मतलब मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा. Even the Club World Cup, अब मैं Club World Cup जो मैं बोल रहा था ना जब आपको कि क्लब वर्ल्ड कप आप थोड़ा लाइटली ले सकते हो, दैट वाज कंसीडरिंग सिमोने इंजागी स्टेड. नाउ
yeah,
आई थिंक वी हैव टू टेक द क्लब वर्ल्ड कप मोर सीरियसली, बिकॉज़ यू इवन हैव टू प्रिपेयर फॉर योर कमिंग सीजन. बिकॉज़
correct.
प्री सीजन में आप कितने गेम्स खेलोगे? अगेन विद फुल ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट टू द टूर्नामेंट, आई नो सम पीपल हैव देयर ओपिनियंस व्हाट नॉट, पर इस टूर्नामेंट में भी अभी पैसा भी बहुत ज्यादा है. So you can't afford to fumble this. You could end up winning more
Yeah,
money in this tournament than you won in the Champions League. So
yeah,
suddenly now you have to take this tournament 10 times more seriously. मतलब आपको फिर से वही प्लेयर्स को एक्सपेंड करना पड़ेगा. नए साइनिंग्स, पेटर सुचिच, लुइस एनरिके. लेट मी टच अपॉन टू दीस प्लेयर्स, सॉरी, टू ऑफ दीस प्लेयर्स. ये दो प्लेयर सोच के आए होंगे भाई मैं सिमोने इंजागी के अंडर खेलूंगा. राइट, एग्जैक्टली राइट. एंड ठीक है, स्पेशली लुइस एनरिके, जब ही वाज अ राइट विंगर एट मार्से,
yeah,
Deserbi converted him into a right wing back. He started out his career as a support striker. अभी ये राइट विंग बैक बन गया. नाउ कैन कीवू मेंटेन दैट? वो सोच के आया होगा चलो मैं सिमोने इंजागी के लिए आ रहा हूँ. एंड यू नो माय ओपिनियन, आई वाज नेवर द बिगेस्ट फैन ऑफ स्पेंडिंग सो मच मनी ऑन लुइस एनरिके. आई फील थोड़ा
yeah,
टेम्परामेंटल प्लेयर ही, बट ठीक है, आई फील इज अ गुड प्रोफाइल. पेटर सुजिच आई एम स्टिल हाई ऑन एज अ वेरी टैलेंट. ही इज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट अंडर 23 क्रोएशियन टैलेंट्स इन द वर्ल्ड. आई फील ही विल बी फाइन. बट स्टिल आई एम श्योर वो प्लेयर आया होगा ना एक्सपेक्टेशन से कि भाई मैं सिमोने इंजागी के अंदर खेलूंगा. अभी मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, विल क्रिस्टियन कीवू बी द ड्रॉ एज अ कोच अजय भाई?
yeah,
Gasperini at Roma will be a draw, right, for all these players. If Kivu doesn't, the thing with Kivu is Ajay bhai, if he does not get the hit the ground running, if he does not do well, how is he going to draw all these players? How is he going to win their trust? You get my point. This is where I come from. I could be wrong as well. मैं नहीं बोल रहा मैं एकदम मेरे thoughts perfect है. So there's just too many question marks. I'm not anti Kivu, बट बहुत क्वेश्चन मार्क्स रेज हो गए. एंड दिस इज प्योरली ऑन द मैनेजमेंट, देयर एरोगेंस, देयर फूलिशनेस टू नॉट सॉलिडिफाई अ प्लान बी. अजय भाई, जब आप टॉप क्लब होते हो ना, यू हैव टू हैव अ प्लान बी रिगार्डलेस. आई एम सॉरी, Roma knew they needed a coach. They kept working on Gasperini. They did not hinder away from that, and they always had some or the other option. वो लोग
yeah,
कन्विक्शन से मूव करते गए. एंड ये मैं कोई भी क्लब के साथ बोल सकता हूँ. मिलान मिलान जगल कर रहा था कॉन्सेसाओ के बाद. You saw the other names linked as well, right? And I'm like, what the hell are Milan doing? And then what did they do? They came up with a plan B and they went hard on Allegri, right?
mm.
Sporting director, they were linked with
Iglitare.
again. Yeah, Iglitare aya, but they were also linked with other names, and then they decided ki chalo, you know what, let's go to Iglitare. And look, Iglitare is working his ass off to get Milan back on the right track. So being the best club in Italy, if you say so, or at least you know you are at the time, तो आपको उसके तरह एक्ट करना होता है, उससे उल्टा एक्ट नहीं करना होता है, which is what other clubs have now done. Like Napoli, kudos to them, they won the Scudetto. Now they're acting like they're acting serious. What Conte will do in
Yeah,
the Champions League, but they acted serious. They might sign De Bruyne. Let's see. वो
yeah,
जब होगा वो होगा. But they're looking very serious on the market and whatnot. So I don't know, yaar. I'm just a bit like, I'm not क्या बोलते हैं, angry वैसा, but I'm just disappointed at how this whole thing has taken a 360-degree turn. Oak Tree,
mm.
I need to know what their ideas are. Like, ठीक है, अगर आप रेडवर्ड टाइप प्रोजेक्ट करना चाहते हो, हमें हमें थोड़ा तो क्लियर है ही, but you can't go full youth. That's not the way. We saw what happened
Yeah,
to
yeah,
AC Milan. But again, this is a hedge fund. This is an investment fund. उनको पैसा बना के निकलना है. So we will have to be really cautious of these guys. They are spending the bucks on the market. You are seeing Ajay 12 million, 14 million better Suchic, 25 million Luis Enrique. ये Zang के अंदर नहीं हो रहा था. But they're going for younger profiles with lower wages. Will we ever see more veterans at Inter? You need veterans. If you don't have veterans, who will guide these youngsters? Right?
yeah.
Why did Inter do so well for so many years? Because आपके पास वो बैलेंस था. Apologies if there was any disruption to the
There was a
video.
technical glitch. I think
Yeah,
I think
which
I think तेरा ये recording was interrupted by I would say Beppe Marotta and his management team. तो बहुत उनके ओकट्री ने ले लिया.
एग्जैक्टली ओक्ट्री सब पैसा बचा के इंटर फैंस के रैंक्स को हैक करे. बट अपॉलॉजीज इफ देयर वाज अ टेक्निकल ग्लिच. आई बिलीव हम रुके थे पेटर सूचिच और लुइस एनरिके के साइनिंग पर, राइट अजय भाई? आई थिंक दैट्स वेयर वी
Yep,
स्टॉप. एंड
yep.
मेरा वही है कि ये प्लेयर्स देख के बोलेंगे कि भाई हमने सिमोने इंजागी के लिए साइन किया था. कैन क्रिस्टियन कीवू नाउ बी दैट कन्विंसिंग फिगर? आई थिंक आई सेड दैट टू यू एज वेल. कैन ही ड्रॉ दोस प्लेयर? कैन ड्रॉ दोस टाइप ऑफ प्लेयर्स? कैन ही कन्विंस द प्लेयर्स एंड से कि भाई लुक बिलीव इन द प्रोजेक्ट? बिकॉज सिमोने इंजागी जब इंटर में आया तो उसने लाजियो में ऑलरेडी कुछ बिल्ड किया था. जय भाई, you remember he
Correct,
had
correct,
still gotten them to the Champions League after 13 years. He still won a Coppa Italia. Even with Cesc Fabregas, at least he's an ex-football. Like even with Cesc Fabregas, I would have had doubts. But like uska, the name was on the rise coaching wise, so I still feel there
yep.
would have been a next level of respect. Luis Enrique converted from a support striker to a right winger, then to a right wing back by Deserbi. Now the question is, can Kivu maintain that? Can Kivu maintain his level? Because he's kind of a temperamental player. Peter Sucic, I feel, is one of the best talents. So वो कर लेगा, but वो भी सोच के आया होगा कि भाई मेरे को तो सिमोने इंजागी बोला गया था. So
Correct.
I'm sure. Look, Peter Sucic has already gone out and said कि I wanted to join Inter, so I'm not worried about that. And he's been learning Italian, whatnot. But the point is, suddenly to find Cristian Chivu as your coach, then also it alters what kind of players you're going to target. Suddenly we are linked with 2-3 Parma players, and Gion, Boni. Boni was always on the radar, but then Mandela, like भाई मेरे को एक तो सब पार्मा के प्लेयर्स मत लाके तो मतलब आपको एक लेवल भी मेंटेन करना है इधर इंटर में.
Correct.
मतलब आपको पार्मा नहीं बनना है, with all due respect, right? So like again, can you attract the big names anymore, right? Can the players look at the coach and say कि हाँ चलो मेरे को क्रिस्टियन कीवू के लिए खेलना है, ठीक है, fantastic player, but is he a fantastic coach? And I think after I said this, I don't know where we got cut off, but I'm just disappointed because this is Inter's arrogance. Clearly आपने बचौर क्लब की तरह एक्ट नहीं किया. I still love Morata. I still feel he's the reason where we, not the sole reason, but a major reason of why we are, where we are. And I'm just, this is big, that's the exact reason why I don't expect such sort of a move, right? 360 degree, pura U-turn. And Ajay bhai, this is Pazza Inter. This is, what else is this?
Yep.
जिसको नहीं
Yep.
पता, crazy Inter. This is shooting
Yep.
yourself in the foot. This is nothing more else other than that. And also Christian Kivu, मैं जो बोल रहा हूँ, मैंने आपको I think touched upon that, right? कि Club World Cup में he will have less players and whatnot. Now he has to motivate a defeated bunch of players. कल Netherlands was playing Finland and Denzel Dumfries scored a goal, and he was asked in his post-game interview कि what really happened in the Champions League final. Have you gotten over it? And he's like, look, he just gave PSG credit. He's like, we simply unfortunately could not turn up, level match नहीं कर पाए, और the defeat is still hurting him inside. He said he's not being able to get over it. He's finding it difficult, and every player has broken their silence after a long time, especially Lautaro Martinez. He's not that kind of a person जो एकदम से social media पे आ जाए तो time लेता है. Everybody has bid their farewell to Simone Inzaghi, all players except Fratesi, of course. वो तो नहीं करने वाला था, but all players have spoken out about the UCL final, and all of them are hurt. Can Christian Kivu pick them up from this defeat? Because एक लेवल होता है कि एक क्या बोलते हैं, एक सीलिंग होती है after a point which you can lift players from such a big defeat, and this was an embarrassing defeat. Can he lift them up from, because मेरे को वो टेंशन है कि ये लोग में वो हंगर तो होगा, बट वो डिसअपॉइंटमेंट कैसे शेक ऑफ करेंगे? And this is my worry going into next season, along with Kivu's appointment. And I'm very disappointed. I'm keeping my expectations low. Backing Kivu 100%, not his fault. I'll back the players also, but these players have to show on the pitch what it means to play for this jersey, not what you did in the Champions League. That was a full opposite, as I said. नीमा ने ट्वीट किया था, सब लोग ट्वीट कर रहे थे हमारे फैन बेस की, every Inter player should just remove that jersey and not even go back to Milan at that point. Just go to wherever you are. That's how embarrassing the performance was. It was just horrible. I think you also can agree, Ajay. मतलब it was unwatchable from an Inter point of view. That's not what you do in a Champions League final. So भाई ये सब आप factors mix in करो. How does Inter uplift themselves and challenge for the, because Marotta said the other day, we will aim for the best, we will aim for the Scudetto. अरे क्या Scudetto भाई, अभी तो टॉप 4 पहले मिले, वो अच्छी बात है. टॉप 4 नहीं मिला तो खत्म भाई, आपके रेवेन्यूज फिर से मार खा जाएंगे. सो माय पॉइंट इज, अभी ठीक है, चलो कि वो आ गया, you better effing back him on the market. Abhi, this is
Yeah.
the problem now. My worry is he might end up becoming a yes man because low wages पे है, उसको control करना आसान हो जाएगा. Simone Inzaghi spoke out against the management. Look, and again, I'm not blaming him for leaving because I think he had valid points. I think Uncle Sharma said this on his podcast the other day when he was doing this post Simone Inzaghi leaving review. He said Simone Inzaghi probably preferred this Marotta project with older players signing on free बिकॉज आपको वेटरन्स मिलते हैं राइट, आपको थोड़ा एक गारंटी रहता है. अभी इस प्रोजेक्ट में कैसा हो रहा है, आपको पैसा स्पेंड करने मिल रहा है बट ऑन यंगर प्लेयर्स, एंड सिमोने इंजागी हैज नेवर बीन दैट ग्रेट विद यंग प्लेयर्स. Maybe he should have adapted, but the point is he was also pissed off after a point. He said after the UCL final ki the club needs to invest more even after completing 2 signings. So, and he's going, what kind of players he's going to get at Al Hilal. He's going to get Osimhen, he wants badly. He's directly in touch with Osimhen. Like उसको तो खुश हो रहा है भाई कि कोरिया से मैं Osimhen पे जा रहा हूँ, मतलब मुझे कोई टेंशन नहीं, मैं उधर ही रुक जाता हूँ. So the club now has to back Kivu. Fabregas के साथ भी जब Osimhen का conversation हुआ, right, indirect of sort, Fabregas asked for having market control, and these guys are not willing to do a revolution on the market, but you need it. Your older players have to move away. I love Acherbi, but I think it is time to move on from him. Maybe like Mkhitaryan also. I don't know. Like maybe not Miki. I don't know. It's very tough to call at this point. But if Kibu asks for players, you don't go and give him Parma के सब players. You go and give him one big name also ना. आप वो बैलेंस रखना पड़ता है. आप सब पारमा से उठाओगे तो खत्म, मतलब आपका I don't know what to say. If you're going to go out and say sign Boni, Mandela Keita, Giovanni, literally we're linked with 3 Parma players at this point. And this is funny. Like this is not the way to go. I'm sorry. Again, these are 3 good talents, but you can see it, Ajay bhai, we will take a hit if these 3 players come at once. Like
for sure,
so,
for sure. तेरा जो 10 steps back है वो एकदम सही है, instead of going 2 steps back, you're going 10 steps back.
मतलब पार्मा का कोच उठाया ठीक है, पार्मा से और 3 प्लेयर उठाओगे मतलब वो कुछ ज्यादा ही हो जाएगा. Like this is not Inter. I'm sorry, and I just want to close out by saying, look, there's a lot more I could have touched upon, but I feel ये rant देख के लोग भी थोड़ा ये हो जाएंगे कि भाई
ये है परम का पंचनामा, basically परम का पंचनामा था.
First of all, look, if anybody has any thoughts in the comments, please let us know. Ajay bhai, I would like to know your brief thoughts also before we close this, because I have said, but as a neutral, what do you just think about the whole situation?
Yeah, see, for me it is surprising because Simone Inzaghi leaving Serie A, Inter for Al Hilal looks bad on the league. Number one, Serie A overall looks horrible because PSG look like miles better than Inter on the night, which is not the case. But in future, ऐसे ही जज होगा कि यार वो रात को PSG फाइनल जीती. It's very harsh to an Inter team who are only 16 minutes behind in the entirety of that Champions League campaign until the final. It's that's the nature of the game, unfortunately. So ये पूरा एक overall level पे tarnish हो रहा है. And you see, already there are links of Serie A teams being plucked of their better players, and Serie A teams themselves looking at Liga and Eredivisie for scouting talent, or maybe just picking up washed players from the Premier League on loan. So overall, it is a massive L for the league. Simone Inzaghi, had he gone to any other club, Param, I would have been still okay, but going to Saudi at this age is just, I mean, I see, again, I'm not saying कि नहीं जाना चाहिए, कोई भी आदमी जाएगा, but he is still, I would say, approaching the peak of his coaching career, his prime of his coaching career. He's yet to get there. I mean, as a coach, I feel he can evolve much more, and that necessarily will not happen if you play in Saudi. You have to be in the top leagues in the world, wherever that may be. So, abhi ke isme to, yaar, it's a huge setback for Inter. Like 1 month ago, you all were looking for the treble, and 1 month later, the entire world has changed. Pura dunya badal gaya.
Yeah, we might take a treble of signings from Parma. I mean, that's वो treble नहीं चाहिए था मेरे को. Yeah, and just one more thing, Ajay bhai. One thing that baffled me. Am I the biggest Thiago Motta coach fan? No. I think he has a lot of room to grow man management wise and whatnot. But एक चीज मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ. Thiago Motta was one of the coaches offered to Inter by his agents and intermediaries. So why was he not above Cristian Chivu? Thiago Motta bhi kind of ex-Inter hai. I know Cristian Chivu is more of an Interista, and maybe it does not make sense Thiago Motta just coming off of Juventus and whatnot. Maybe the club had doubts, but at least एक tactically ready coach तो है ना आपके पास जो 3 at the back
Yeah,
भी
yeah.
खेल चुका है. And yes, I also have doubts over when he gets confused and I know he's not the greatest man manager yet, but आपको एक ready mold मिल जाता. आपको एक again so मेरे डिसीजन मेकिंग में वही क्वेश्चंस है. फारियोली भी लिंक था, ठीक है, फारियोली में भी राइट अवे फिट ना होता इधर, but there's just too many questions. And then to make matters work, why have I pulled this tweet up? I'll show you. This jersey obviously is not the greatest. You know, people have their thoughts. This was usually Inter ना बहुत late launch करता है jerseys, ठीक है अजय भाई. इस time इस लोग ने जल्दी launch किया amidst all the coaching chaos with high prices. So you're pissing off the loyal Interist'i even more, basically. समझ रहे हो? Like so everything, जैसे मैंने बोला ना, पाजा Inter 360 degree सब उल्टा हो गया. Like everything took a hit. Everything took a hit at once. And not the greatest thing to have happened. I was just trying to pull up something related to the Champions League final post. Barella thanking Simone Inzaghi, thanked the whole staff as they left. Massimiliano Faris, everyone. So yeah, I mean, very disappointed. You said it rightly. Ki very very poor by Inter, and maybe Simone Inzaghi भी better situation को handle कर सकता था थोड़ा. But I really don't personally blame him per se. I think he was also थोड़ा tired of the situation at Inter, and yeah, we got what we got.
I think I think we can close this video for now, Param. I think it is a very important summer for Inter, for you, for everyone associated with the club. But
Hmm.
but I would say कि अभी आज के लिए ये rant तेरा काफी है. I don't want you to spiral into those deep dark negative thoughts that you had almost a week ago. I think जो तेरा एक comment चाहिए था अपने community को वो मिल गया because you were traveling, you're busy with work, and
Hmm.
a lot of people
Hmm.
wanted your thoughts. I think you've done enough justice to that. With that, let's close the video for today. Like, share, and subscribe. Content आता रहेगा. And any last words, Param, before we close this video?
Look, मैं सिर्फ बोलूंगा, obviously as an Interist I've seen tougher days, I've seen worse days, तो I will always support the club. वो तो issue नहीं होगा कभी. But I think as I covered it all, right, कि I'm very disappointed management से. अगर आप अपने आपको प्राइड करके ओपनली बोलते हो बेस्ट क्लब ऑफ इटली, आप बोलते हो इंटर शुड कम्पीट ऑन ऑल फ्रंट्स, देन दिस इज नॉट द वे टू गो. और एक ना फैंस को बनाने की भी हद होती है, मतलब हर हर आके ऑप्टिमिज्म से बोलना इंटर विल इमर्ज स्ट्रांग, दिस दैट. At times, it's better to admit your
Fans can
mistakes. हाँ.
fans can call out the BS from far away.
Yes, वो मुझे भी समझता है. I know Marotta will always give good political answer, but एक बार ना कभी आपको आके भी defeat admit करनी पड़ती है. It's better to be humble than to be arrogant, at least in
Yeah.
my opinion. और fans को बनाना बंद करो. Try to communicate better as a club going forward. और and please, अभी क्रिस्टियन की वो आ गया है. Please support the guy in every way possible. He will need it. He's not as ready as Simone Inzaghi. Just one last point, sorry. Simone Inzaghi, अजय मुझे याद है जब वो रेफरिंग कंट्रोवर्सी हुई थी, अगेन नॉट अगेन विद द होल इंडिका एंड वो जो हुआ था ना सिचुएशन बिसेक वाला, नॉट टू ब्रिंग दैट अप, बट फॉरगेट द इंसिडेंट, द वार का जो ये लोग पब्लिकली रिलीज करते हैं राइट हर मंडे को, तो उसमें रॉकी आके बोलता है वी रिलीज्ड एन एडिटेड वर्जन ऑफ द फुटेज. हाउ कैन यू डू दैट? सो एज अ क्लब व्हेन सिमोने
भाई
इंजागी, या
वो
ठीक है,
Gianluca Rocky
he's
AIA
a,
का head है, मतलब that is like
my
putting a lion in charge of vegan supermarket. I
yeah,
don't know.
exactly. And my point was, ठीक है, ये गधे ने आके तो इस रेफरी ने आके ऐसा बोल दिया. Marotta comes and says, I won't say anything because we don't want to create controversy. But by that time, Simone Inzaghi had already made his emotions known. So you
Yeah.
already, basically, there were instances where he was left, hanging. ये आप नहीं कर सकते आगे जाके. हमने सिमोने इंजागी के साथ जो भी अभी गलतियां की, move on, hang in there, back Kivu publicly, back him media wise, everything. I don't want to see any other BS. वो yes man मत बना उसको, and I hope Kivu also doesn't do that. Kivu, if you feel the club has to be called out at some point, go ahead and call out that bullshit because it is needed. Inter is still at a good level. I think we will not be as bad as AC Milan were because we have a bunch of core leaders. We had Ajay in players which AC Milan did not. We have a stable management. Errors होते हैं सबसे. Time to turn a fresh page and please back this guy with proper signings. Don't go around signing from Salernitana, Parma, Cremonese, please. ये मेरा फाइनल मैसेज होगा. एंड एज ऑलवेज sempre e solo forza Inter. Fingers crossed we can have a good season regardless of all the turmoil. And yeah, best of luck to Cristian Chivu and all the Interisti out there. Forza Inter.
Chalo guys, thank you so much for
Like, share and
tuning in.
subscribe guys. Please
share, and
like, share, and
subscribe,
subscribe.
guys.
And also to Ajay Bhai's channel, guys. Even he's growing tremendously. So please like, share, and subscribe to Ajay Bhai's channel. Or content आता रहेगा. Calcio Charcha is resuming very soon. We were on a bit of a break. Everything will resume. Ajay Bhai's channel will be back in full swing and well. So please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back with more content.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.